everyone, this is Liz. Today I'm going to be talking about the difference between daemons, demons, and devils, which is a topic I've dived into for some stuff upcoming in my homebrew campaign that I've written and have started with my players. You'll see me on the screen making a map for something upcoming and messing around with a couple of the settings that I inevitably give up on. But today we're talking about the difference between those three categories because I didn't really know what the difference was. They're all fiends, and they're all bad. They're all evil, but I didn't really understand what the difference was between them. So, starting with Daemons, they're, from what I understand, considered like the lowest tier of the three. Daemons are from Abaddon. It's a little unclear where they originate from, but they seem to largely be from souls who have died, which actually is a trend among all three of these. So Abaddon is like the worst place you can go when you die. Even Pharasma is like, you can choose somewhere a little less bad if you want to, which is pretty unusual for her once she makes a decision about where your soul is supposed to go. So Daemons are basically hungry for souls. They eat and consume and use souls even as a currency. So Abaddon is like the worst thing that can happen to you. Daemons include the Four Horsemen, most of which were souls who died, became daemons, and then rose up into those ranks. Daemons desire for the destruction of all life and existence, essentially, which is a little ironic because Monster Core does describe them as living things. So if they want the destruction of all life, inherently they can't exist in that time. But most of them don't seem to acknowledge that paradox. So that is pretty interesting. Obviously, they're all very evil, and you wouldn't really want to be associated with them. Examples of daemons are the leucodaemon, which spreads disease. They work directly with Apollyon, I believe his name is, the horseman of pestilence and disease. The Astrodaemon, which represents direct damage to the soul, so they actually prowl along the river of souls and try to steal them away from there. And then the Sangudaemon of blood loss. Demons, on the other hand, are from the outer rifts. So if you die and you go to the outer rifts, you kind of scrounge around there for a while until you eventually rise and become a demon. So daemons represent a horrible way to die. I don't think I mentioned that. I'm a little unorganized. Daemons represent a horrible way to die, so they represent death. Demons represent sin, so you become a demon based on whatever sin you committed most. Obviously, there's the big evil 7 sins, but there are many more demons than just those 7. For example, the Shemhazen demon, which represents mutilation. The Brimarak, which represents arson. And then one of the classic ones is the Pusk, which represents the sin of sloth. But essentially, demons want to grow personal power. So they're almost like a MLM. Almost. They taint the souls of mortals, and then those mortals rise and become demons. And then those demons take the souls of other mortals who rise and become demons, and they grow their personal power that way. Demons mostly want mortals to be tricked into committing sin of their own will, so that their soul is tainted and they get sent to the outer rifts by Pharasma and they become demons. However, demons do enjoy causing destruction themselves if it comes down to it. Demons, interestingly, are able to reproduce according to Monster Core, but the preferred way of making more demons is to trick mortals into committing those sins. Devils are inhabitants of hell, so hell is obviously, what we think of, but it is a little different. It's very bureaucratic, very organized, and It's like I said, it's very bureaucratic. So basically, anything you want to do needs to be approved, and you get to hell by signing a contract with a devil. So a devil will go into the mortal realm, make an offer with a contract that a mortal will sign. They'll fulfill their end of the contract, usually giving power to the mortal for the time while they're in Galarian. They die, they go to Pharasma, the devil comes to Pharasma and say, hey, here's the contract I signed with this mortal. They're coming to hell with me. Pharasma says, okay, I see the contract, and you go to hell. So then you go to hell, torture, the classics. But you do have the opportunity to be quote-unquote promoted into a devil and then continue the cycle. So devils are also typically risen from mortal souls into that role. There are different roles of devils, so some are soldiers, scholars, torturers, lawyers, etc. They see themselves as above devils and demons, or not devils and demons, daemons and demons. They see themselves as above them. They will still work with these other groups, though, to achieve their quote-unquote superior goals. So devils see daemons' hunger for souls as short-sighted and demons' destruction as kind of obnoxious. But like I said, they will still partner with them in order to achieve their goal. So the map I'm making here is to introduce the concept of daemons, demons, and devils into my campaign, where they're going to meet some along this path and see where they were summoned. I won't give away too many spoilers for my campaign because I think one of my players watches this channel, but I think it's a good introduction for them, and it'll be interesting. But that's pretty much all I have left to say about this topic. I'll let the rest of the map building finish here, just in case you want to see it, but I mean, this map is pretty much done. I'm just adding the final touches. It looks like I'm putting in a skeleton right now. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was a little bit informative. I had a lot of fun just reading through the multiple books. I got most of my information from Monster Core because that's the current. I did some research online. There's a lot more information in like one-y sources, but I didn't look into those because I don't have any of that source material, and I wanted to go with what is current as of the remaster and Lost Omens. So I used mostly Monster Core and then a little bit from Divine Mysteries when I was looking into the Four Horsemen. But that's pretty much it. Let me know if you want me to look into any other types of creatures, because I really enjoy just reading about it. I made a joke to someone, if I put this much effort into reading about real world topics, I would be super smart and unstoppable, but I don't care about those as much. I like to read about Pathfinder because it's fictional and it doesn't affect me. But y'all have a good one. I'll see you next time.